Hi, my name is Sarah, and I hate my family. They have always been the worst people in the world. It wasn't a surprise to me that my parents adored Thomas. Thomas was intelligent in school and resembled our dad, so they loved him immensely. They didn't hide it, they flaunted it. While he was the golden child, basking in their attention, I was the afterthought. I mean, he was given everything. When it came to paying for his college, my parents had no problems finding the money. They paid his entire way, and even when he flunked out, they still helped and supported him. However, when I asked for a few dollars to help cover the cost of my trade school, suddenly there was no more money. And yet, I stayed. I mean, I didn't have much of a choice. I needed somewhere to live that was close to my campus, and the apartment above my parents' garage was perfect. My parents rented it to me. The rent was cheap, and I figured that I could live there while I went to school, and then I would move on, or so I thought at the time. The day it all started to unravel was when I overheard my mom on the phone.
Of course, sweetheart. We'll send the money over this afternoon. Don't stress, darling. You'll figure it out. We love you very much, and of course we'll help you out.
I leaned against the kitchen counter, sipping coffee. When she hung up, I asked casually, "Helping Thomas out again?"
It's none of your business. By the way, who said you could drink our coffee? Also, your rent is due today.
Since when is it due halfway through the month? I've always given it to you guys at the end. And yeah, maybe it isn't my business, but I just don't get why you always help out Thomas, but can never do the same for me. She turned her back to me, refusing to make eye contact.
Thomas is going through a hard time. You wouldn't understand. Besides, it's not your place to question how we manage our money. The rent is due when I say it is, so either have the money in my hand by the end of the day, or start looking for somewhere else to stay.
It wasn't my place to ever say anything. That was always her line. But considering how I was still in school and was paying her the rent she demanded from me on time, I felt incredibly annoyed. Here I was actually being responsible, but she and my dad were treating me like I was the screw-up. Meanwhile, Thomas was no doubt just squandering his money. It wouldn't be the first time that he spent his entire paycheck on clothes or other things he didn't need, and then had to beg our parents for money to cover his rent. He could demand anything, and he got everything. When I first moved into the garage apartment my parents rented to me, I thought it might be a good stepping stone. But stepping on the wrong floorboard was enough to send it cracking under my weight. The plumbing was a joke. The hot water barely worked, and the wiring sparked if I used more than 2 appliances at once. Dad, the insulation in the walls is basically non-existent. I'm freezing up there.
Then get a space heater.
A space heater? You know how bad the wiring is. It could start a fire. Dad, that place is a death trap. Could you please call an electrician? One of these days, that wiring is going to cause a fire.
Don't be dramatic, Sarah. If you don't like it, you can move out.
And if I do, then who is going to rent that place, huh? No one else with half a brain would rent it.
If you were half as intelligent as your brother, you would understand the massive favor we are giving you for letting you stay there. Oh, and by the way, I ran the numbers, and I need to increase your rent to $1,600 a month to cover expenses. Be sure to have that money in my hand in the next few days, or else you'll be living on the street.
I couldn't move out. I was still paying off student loans, and every other option in the area was worse or more expensive. Even with the increase, it was still cheaper. So I stayed, patching things up with duct tape and a prayer. I tried to fix things as best I could, but I wasn't a professional. It was a month later when I accidentally opened a bank statement that wasn't mine. It was addressed to my parents. The line item caught my attention immediately. Transfer to Thomas, $1,600. It seemed strange that the very same amount of money that I gave them for rent suddenly went to my brother on the same day. Sneakily, I logged onto their bank account. I knew their passwords and such because my father was notoriously always using 1234 as his go-to password for everything. I was all there in black and white. Every time I made a payment towards my rent to them, they would then send the exact same amount to Thomas. It felt too obvious to be a coincidence. My chest tightened. I confronted them the same evening. "You're giving my rent money to Thomas, aren't you?"
Thomas needs it more than you do. He's struggling. Plus, he will pay us back. He has a lot of potential.
I'm struggling. You've been gouging me for rent so that he can live comfortably while I'm stuck in a fire hazard?
Thomas has real potential. He just needs support. And as his sister, I'm shocked that you don't offer to help him right now.
And I don't? Mom, Dad, I'm in school right now, and once I graduate, I'll make a comfortable living. Why can't you see it for what it is? Thomas is the screw-up.
How dare you? He's your brother. How can you be so callous?
Oh, I don't know why. Maybe because you two have always treated him like the favorite. But stop trying to dodge the question. Are you giving my rent money to him?
Not that it's any business of yours, but yeah, we are. Also, I need to let you know that I was wrong about the rent being $1,600. You need to pay us $2,000. So whenever you have the money, let us know.
Are you kidding me? You can't raise it that much like that. And there is no way I'm giving you more money for that place. It's practically falling apart. Forget it. I'm moving out.
Fine, get lost.
Moving out was easier than I thought. My friend Jake had been looking for a roommate, and his 2-bedroom apartment was spacious, clean, and, get this, only $800 a month, and that was split between the two of us. I saved so much money in those first few months that I started dreaming about buying a house. And 6 months later, I did. The house wasn't fancy, but it was mine. The mortgage was only $700 a month, less than half of what my parents had been charging me. When I sent them the housewarming invitation, Mom texted back, "We'll try to stop by." They didn't. Things started spiraling for them not long after I left. Without my rent money, they couldn't afford to keep sending Thomas his monthly handouts, as my parents were living on their pension. He lost his apartment and ended up moving into the garage apartment, my old place. As for me, after living with Jake for a while, he and I started a website where we built websites for clients as a side hustle. Before long, the website gained traction, and we started earning thousands of dollars a month while still in school. Thanks to this success, I was able to move out, get a nice 2-bedroom apartment, and even buy a fancy car. Life became much more comfortable. One day while driving beside my parents' house, I saw Thomas smoking on the rickety balcony. That annoyed me. I'd told my parents a dozen times about how unsafe the apartment was, and now they were letting him smoke up there? It felt like a disaster waiting to happen. I was right. It was a Tuesday night when the call came.
Glenn, there's been an accident.
What kind of accident?
It was Thomas. He fell asleep with a lit cigarette, and well, the apartment caught fire.
Are you serious? If you'd fixed the place up like I told you, it probably wouldn't have happened.
We didn't have the money.
Maybe if you hadn't been bankrolling Thomas, you would've. It was so infuriating, but it really didn't surprise me. However, that was only the tip of the iceberg. Apparently, the fire was so bad that it spread to the rest of the house, and not only did the garage and the apartment burn down, but the whole house did as well. Not only was Thomas homeless, but so were my parents. Suddenly, they were asking if they could come and stay with me. It was such a slap in the face, but it was also a golden opportunity to turn the tables on them. I'll let you stay with me under one condition. You sign a 5-year lease. You'll pay me $3,500 a month, and if you miss a single payment, I'll sue for the entire remaining balance of the contract so that no matter what, I'll get my money.
That's ridiculous.
No more ridiculous than what you did to me. Dad tried to negotiate, but I held firm. They refused to my conditions and ended up moving into a rundown motel. Thomas complained constantly about the cockroaches and bed bugs. He constantly messaged me, begging to let just him move in. To take pity on my only brother, but there was no chance of that happening. I should have known Thomas wouldn't let it go. He'd always been vindictive. One night, my security system alerted me to motion outside. The cameras showed Thomas creeping toward my garage with a gas can and matches. I called the fire department and police immediately. By the time he set the fire, the authorities were already en route. The damage was minimal, thanks to their quick response. But Thomas wasn't so lucky. When the cops arrived, he tried to run. They tased him, and he went down hard. I suppose I could have tried to intervene and get them to go easy on him, but I would be lying if I said that seeing the police handle him roughly and throw him into the back of their squad car didn't bring a smile to my face. Thomas ended up getting 5 years in prison for arson and attempted property damage. My parents were of course upset, but I had already decided that I was going to be cutting them out of my life. I was done playing second fiddle to Thomas for them, and I wanted nothing to do with them anymore. At Thomas's trial, though, when I heard the sentence, I couldn't help but laugh. It was just so hilarious. My friend Jake was there and he asked me what was so funny, to which I told him. Thomas always wanted to live rent-free. Looks like he got his wish. In prison, he won't have to pay rent. And the best part? He's not my problem anymore. When Thomas was sentenced and sent to prison, my parents broke down in tears in court. I looked at them and just smiled. I later heard that, since money was tight, they ended up working at a fast food restaurant as servers to survive. As for me, though, things took a different turn. Jake later proposed that my life story was interesting enough to write a book about, which I eventually did. It became a bestseller titled, "My Parents Kicked Me Out for Not Paying Rent." Many people loved it and it gained a lot of attention. I even managed to send some copies to my parents. When they read it, they became furious. Apparently, everyone despised them after learning the truth, and they ended up getting fired from their jobs when their boss learnt of it too. They started calling and threatening me, but I blocked them before they could say much. Thanks for watching. He was holding her hand tightly, almost crushing her little fingers to keep her from running to me. "How dare you hit a 10-year-old little girl?" I scream. Marina began to yell back at me, waving her arms angrily at me. With her arms in the air, her sleeves rolled down and I saw her bare arms. They were covered in track marks, the telltale sign of a heroin user. "You degenerate drug addict. You're still using, aren't you?"
What? Oh no, you're accusing me of that, in my own house.
With that, she jumped at me and knocked me over. She grabbed my hair and hit my head repeatedly against the cold hardwood floor. I started to black out, too weak to fight her off of me. Suddenly, she was pushed off of me. First, I thought Mason had finally came to his senses and was the one fighting her. As I began to see again, I realized that he still stood at the foot of the stairs, just watching all of us. Kinsley had pushed her off of me. I quickly turned to look at Marina. She was leaning over Kinsley, her face red with anger. She was preparing to hit my poor daughter, when I hit her first, hard to her stomach with a bat I found in their hallway. She immediately fell to the floor, holding her stomach. Her groans finally made Mason move, and he rushed to her side. My name is Audrey, and I thought my nightmare ended 4 years ago when I divorced my husband Mason. Unfortunately, it was just the start of another one. I filed for a divorce because I caught him sneaking around with another woman behind my back. Actually, my 10-year-old daughter Kinsley caught him. How horrible is it to discover your father with another woman and then have to tell your mother about it? I still feel so guilty for not seeing the signs sooner. I could have prevented her from going through that pain. Sometimes as a mother, you have to accept that you can't protect your child from everything. My therapist had to tell me that a lot after the divorce. Shortly after the divorce was finalized, Mason publicly announced the woman that he had been cheating on me with to be his girlfriend. Her name was Marina. Marina and Mason. Of course, I was humiliated, but I kept it to myself. The only contact that I had with him was when I dropped Kinsley off at his house for the 1 weekend a month that he got her. In the court hearings, he didn't get full custody, but a weekend visitation. I wasn't happy with it, but I still wanted my daughter to have some relationship with her father, even if he was a lying, cheating scumbag. He's still her father, after all. My therapist had to convince me of the importance of their relationship, despite how angry I still was with him. After some time, though, I realized that something weird was happening when Kinsley would go to visit her father. She would come back silent and would barely talk or look at me. She would only wear long sleeves that covered her arms and legs. This happened for several weeks before I finally decided to talk to her about it. "What's wrong, sweetheart? You always look so sad whenever you come back from your father's house."
It's his girlfriend. She's mean to me, bosses me around, and makes me do hard chores around the house.
Well, you need to do chores sometimes, sweetie. But she's mean to you?
Yeah. I'm scared of her. She hits me sometimes too.
What? Have you told your dad about this?
Yeah, and he doesn't care. He keeps saying it's just my imagination, and I'm lying because she's not you.
It all started to make sense. Whenever I would drop Kinsley off, I would see her tense up as if she was afraid. I already didn't like Marina, much less trust her, after she ruined my marriage. but this an entirely different matter. My daughter's safety would always come before any personal issues I have with someone. I told Kinsley that I would talk to her father and get things straightened out for her. I called Mason that evening and talked to him. Do you know what your daughter said to me? She said that she doesn't feel safe in your house because of your girlfriend. She told me that she hits her.
I wish she would have said something to me about it. I promise you, everything is fine over here, and she's in perfectly safe hands when she's with me. A little discipline never hurt anybody.
How can I trust you not to lie? You've lied to me before about Marina. Our divorce ringing any bells?
A little discipline and hard work won't hurt anybody. You should be thanking me that she's getting it somewhere. You're just trying to start trouble so that you can take away what little time I get to have with my daughter. I won't let you take her from me, Audrey. I love Marina now. Get over it.
I hung up the phone. I was tired of talking to him. He clearly wasn't listening. That was just the first of many phone calls that I had with him. Each time I tried to ask him more about Marina, he wouldn't tell me anything, and kept telling me that Kinsley was fine, that she was only lying so that she could go back home to spend more time with me. You are the favorite parent after all, Audrey. She's 10. I wouldn't put it past her. I gave up trying to reason with him. If I was going to protect my daughter, I needed to do some snooping of my own. I couldn't keep Kinsley from seeing her father, but I could get her a better phone so she had a more reliable way to contact me if anything happened while at his house. I put off the monthly visitation for as long as I could, waiting until the very last weekend of the month. There were a few times where I was in the driveway of their house, and I could hear the two of them screaming at each other before I dropped her off. I felt so uneasy about the whole situation, but I really couldn't do anything about it. I did my best to be patient, and gathered as much information as I could. I talked to Mason's neighbors about the two of them, and they said that they've had to call the police a couple of times to file noise complaints. Apparently, a few weeks prior, the two of them had gotten into a huge fight with each other. It ended with Marina pushing Mason down a flight of stairs. He didn't press any charges, so nothing changed about their situation. I also found out that Marina had a past of drug addiction. When I talked to Mason about it, he swore up and down that she had been clean and sober for years. In January, I tried to do my usual of waiting until the last week of the month for Kinsley to visit her dad, but I got really sick. I kept fainting and was too lightheaded to even walk. I had to make a tough decision. I couldn't take care of Kinsley while I was sick like this. Against my better judgment, I called Mason and asked him to come pick up Kinsley, and he did. She had been gone for roughly 4 hours before she called me. She was panicking, whispering into the microphone.
Mom, I know you're sick, but I really want to come home. Marina hates me for no reason, Mom.
Why? What happened?
Marina made me make dinner like she usually does. And when I sat down to eat with them, she screamed that I shouldn't be sitting at the table with them at all. She hit me really hard, knocking the sauce on my plate all over the floor.
She hit you?
Yeah.
Where's your father? Did you tell him about what's going on?
Yes, but he said she was just disciplining me. I started crying and couldn't stop, so he locked me in this closet. It's so dark and I'm really scared, Mommy.
In the background of the call, I heard Marina screaming at the top of her lungs.
You naughty little sack of crap! I told you not to use that stinkin' phone in there. Your stupid father should have taken that away from you. Let's see how well it works when I smash it to bits.
I had read stories of mothers performing crazy feats of strength when their child was in trouble. I could only imagine it before, but this was the moment where I experienced it firsthand. Mason lived 2 hours away. As sick I was, I drove to go pick up my daughter that night. It didn't matter that I didn't have enough strength to change out of my pajama pants anymore. Fighting against the nausea and the dizziness was almost too easy because I was filled with so much anger. I sped the whole way there. I busted through the door. Marina came around the corner of the living room and began screaming at me. Mason came down the stairs holding Kinsley's hand. At first glance, it might have looked like a loving father providing support for his daughter in a scary situation, but I knew better. He was holding her hand tightly, almost crushing her little fingers to keep her from running to me. "How dare you hit a 10-year-old little girl?" I scream. Marina began to yell back at me, waving her arms angrily at me. With her arms in the air, her sleeves rolled down, and I saw her bare arms. They were covered in track marks, the telltale sign of a heroin user. "You degenerate drug addict. You're still using, aren't you?"
What? Oh no, you're accusing me of that, in my own house.
With that, she jumped at me and knocked me over. She grabbed my hair and hit my head repeatedly against the cold hardwood floor. I started to black out, too weak to fight her off of me. Suddenly, she was pushed off of me. First, I thought Mason had finally came to his senses and was the one fighting her. As I began to see again, I realized that he still stood at the foot of the stairs, just watching all of us. Kinsley had pushed her off of me. I quickly turned to look at Marina. She was leaning over Kinsley, her face red with anger. She was preparing to hit my poor daughter, when I hit her first, hard to her stomach with a bat I found in their hallway. She immediately fell to the floor, holding her stomach. Her groans finally made Mason move, and he rushed to her side. I grabbed Kinsley's hand, spat on their floor, and ran out the house. In the driveway, we called the police. When they arrived, they talked with the four of us. They lied, claiming that Marina never attacked us. Thankfully, the officer only had to take one look at my swollen and bloody face to tell that they were lying. The injuries were to the back of my head, and there was a little dent in the floor from where she banged my head onto the floor. Fortunately, I was able to protect Kinsley from being attacked again. With the police report and the Child Protection Services report, there was enough evidence to punish the two of them, despite all of their blatant lying. Mason lost all custody of Kinsley and had to pay a crazy expensive fine for child endangerment. It was such a large fine that he couldn't pay it all before the deadline. This happened for months, and the interest fees got larger and larger until he couldn't even make a dent in how much he owed. His solution was to try to sell some of the heroin that Marina had left behind. In a drug deal that went wrong, he tried to trick someone into paying 3 times more money than he should have, and the buyer caught on. The man was so angry that he crippled Mason's right hand with a pipe, the same hand that he used to try to keep Kinsley from running to me that night. Marina was found guilty of child abuse for beating Kinsley, and was sent to prison for 10 years. For the first few weeks after the trial, she had to stay in the hospital before being transferred to the prison. When I had hit her with the bat, it had cracked a couple of her ribs. She stayed in the state hospital for months before being transferred to the prison's hospital. When she finally got there, she ended up still being a danger, just to herself this time. She turned to other inmates to be her source for drugs and alcohol while she was in prison. Apparently, someone had taught her how to make wine in the toilet, but she had missed a crucial step and ended up severely poisoning herself and died in the prison's infirmary. As for me and Kinsley, without those two psychos in our lives, we were finally able to live together in peace. My brother had heard of the fiasco that had happened with her father and volunteered to step in Kinsley's life so that she could have a positive male role model. It's made such a difference. He's been helping me with chores around the house, supporting Kinsley with school, and even helps out with our finances. I've never seen Kinsley happier in her life, and seeing her happy makes me happy. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.